Hello, everyone. So glad you're here with us, and we have a special guest with us here in the office, Pastor Matt Harmless. He is the associate pastor here at First Baptist in Covington, along with the principal of Covington Christian School.
Yep.
You got your plate full, right?
Most of the time, yes.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
And so he preached yesterday in our service a really great message on the gospel. He's studying the book of Galatians with us, and he and Pastor Andy take turns, and they're going through different doctrines and so forth. But Pastor Matt's just developing the book of Galatians for us. And I was excited about one particular part of the message that came through in his presentation, and I want to tell you about it. And basically, let me say, it was the miracle of the gospel. And I don't think that comes across a lot. I know we talk about we're gospel preaching churches, and that becomes maybe part of our tradition or part of the doctrine that we would say, but we don't stop and think about the miracle of it.
No, we don't.
The miracle of Christ in our midst is the essence of our ministry at Paradigm One, and that's why I wanted Pastor Matt to come today, because, like, here, this whole thing that my mentor Oliver wrote, "Pray with Christ, obviously present and actively in charge." You know what? That's more than just a Christian corporate discipline. This is a meeting with the living Christ. And those pastors, those of you who are watching, pastors and people, let's get back to the miracle element. And I told Pastor Matt yesterday that I did say years ago when our kids were growing up, if we lose the miracle element of our faith, we will lose our children to our faith. And the word that you're going to hear in this explanation a little bit is the word revelation. There has to be some revelation. It can't be just an education. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then this book that I wrote called The Vine and the Church, it carries the same idea. In fact, we have 7 stewardships of revival. And I know sometimes revival is discussed and cussed. Sadly, because there's a lot of phony baloney that goes on around about revival, but I literally have experienced some moves of God that are real. They're not emotionalism, they're real. And I believe that we can capture that because reality in Christ, at least for me, is what motivates me to be and do what I do. You know, Paul said, by the grace of God, I am what I am. And he worked hard, but he said, it's not me, it's the grace. And yesterday, you were very clear about how this whole idea of what you were sharing about the gospel is a motivator to you.
It is, yeah.
Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, you think about the hard work that goes into the school, the students, the teachers, and whatever else you do with regard to the church and follow up with your family. What keeps us going? What is this fire that's in our bones, right?
Right.
So could you just start and just very briefly say, this is where we were headed with Galatians, okay?
Yeah. So, trying to think briefly. I've got a lot in my head with Galatians, with the study I've been doing, but the section you're in at the beginning is Paul's defense, and it seems like just of himself, of being an apostle, like his apostolic authority. But you see in the middle of that, what he's really defending is that the message isn't his. In fact, just moments earlier in Galatians, he had said, if you even hear me, like we always focus on the fact that he says, if an angel came and preaches to you a different message, let them be accursed. But he also included himself. He said, if you hear something different, it's this is the message. And the fact that it was he's going to claim a miraculous message. It was revealed to him. He didn't learn it from people. He wasn't taught it by tradition. At first, I think verse 12, he says it wasn't by tradition. It wasn't given to him that way. It wasn't taught. He didn't learn it academically.
Yeah, it wasn't just an education.
It wasn't how he was trained. Nothing. In fact, verse 11, he says it wasn't human. It was not according to people at all, this message of revelation of Jesus. So,
yeah, of course, these are my notes, and I was taking notes and so forth, but like you got over here, I received it through the revelation of Jesus Christ, and you talked about how that revelation is apocalypse.
Yes.
Talk to us about apocalypse. We hear it's like a popular
Yes.
thing.
Yeah, I think that we hear apocalypse and we think apocalyptic literature. We think it's something that's destruction. Like there's a lot of people love end of the world movies, and so oh, the apocalyptic movie. The word itself means just unveiling, revealing. It's something covered, and okay, it's pull back the curtain. Here it is. And so we've attached it to the destruction type things because we think of the revelation of Jesus Christ in the book of Revelation.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of destructive things happening in that book.
bet.
And so we connect it with that. But what Revelation is really about is the full, final, complete revealing of Jesus. He was revealed when he came, and there's going to be a second revealing of who he is then. But Paul is claiming, and that's the way that word is used. It's used 18 times. 13 times Paul uses it. And every time he uses it, he either uses it for the revealing when Jesus came and revealed things to Paul, or he talks about this revealing that will happen later.
You know, you also talked about how this message, it's actually a continual unfolding. And we talked back,
Yes.
starting back in Genesis. Okay, and you know, one of the things, by the way, just right now for a little break, what was C.S. Lewis's or whoever it was that summarized this whole thing in these words?
Yes. Okay. So I would love to give credit to whom credit is due, but I don't know who originally said it. But this nutshell of the Bible, kill the dragon, get the girl.
Oh,
Right? Kill the dragon, get the girl. Because that's exactly what does Jesus do? He is the great king, the prince, right? Who kills the dragon.
crush the head.
Right? Crushes his head. Hinted at in Genesis, right?
Right.
Crushes his head. He does that on the cross, right?
Resurrection.
And then he's the great serpent, the worm, is defeated. And what does Jesus get? The girl, the bride,
The bride.
the bride of Christ.
Yeah.
Right? That's what he does that for. He even says it. He says, "I've died for the church."
You know, I don't think, Pastor Matt, that churches, if we could just get that, I don't think we have to be dead. And I don't think we have to be boring. And I don't think we have to have just an internal focus. When we exit the church building, we have this amazing hope
Yeah.
that wherever we could go, we can see the dragon crushed. I was at the gym this morning, and I
Should have been.
yeah. Well, time's an issue, isn't it? But anyway, I'm just trying to maintain as good a health as I can as an older man. But nevertheless, I've got friends down there, and I love them, and I want them to know Jesus.
Yeah.
And so this miracle passion is burning in my heart. And so anyway, kill the dragon, get the girl. I like that. I just heard it this morning in our pre-recording of this. And so apocalypse. I remember I used to talk whenever I was encouraging people to pray. You go to Revelation 3:20 where Jesus is there in Laodicea.
Yeah.
He said, I'm knocking on the door, and if you'll open the door and let me in, I'll come and meet with you.
Yeah.
You know, how many elders and staffers and deacons and so forth could benefit by meeting the builder of the church and the foundation of the church and the life of the church? How about a meeting? No kidding. We'll spend hundreds and thousands of dollars to bring in church consultants.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here's
Jesus.
here.
Yes.
But somehow, anyway, we don't meet with him. But nevertheless, I used to talk about how Revelation talks about the revelation of Jesus, the apocalypse, like we're in this hallway in a museum, and we have a sculptor that takes the veil over his sculpture and pulls it back, and the whole room goes, oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what your message did for me yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
You made me go, oh.
Yeah.
Because I saw some new things. It was really good. Now,
Yeah.
You talked about this being, there's your outline right there. This gospel message, and you gave us 4 points. Just briefly share those.
I mentioned in the message, I wrestled with those 4 points.
Yeah, you talked about
Sometimes I write those down and I'm like, oh, these are the worst way to describe this. But the reason why I felt that way is because I just couldn't get away from this idea that Paul is saying in Galatians, I have a message from God. It's been revealed to me. I did not get it from anybody else. And it's a good message, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gospel, good message. And that's what we're doing every Sunday. We're doing that. And I think we forget that easily.
Mm-hmm.
We forget what a great message it is. And so I was thinking this miraculous thing, we were talking about miracle, that God did that for us. Not just by giving it to Paul, but then it's been preserved and we have it. We have access to it. We can share it. Then he promises that he will use people to preach it and teach it. Like, what a miraculous thing. And I just kept thinking, if this is true, how ought it to affect us in our day-to-day life? And so the things besides the fact that it was unique, I was just thinking this would demand your attention. If we had a message from aliens, if an alien ship showed up and said, Earth, here's this thing, they would get our attention.
Yeah.
Well, that's pathetic compared to a message from God.
Yeah.
We have a message from God. It ought to grab our attention. But then I kept thinking more like it should be a priority of attention. And then eventually I said it should just be pervasive. I mean, I'll say this, as an educator for a long time, there's not one subject that doesn't demand the reality of God's gospel in it.
Yeah.
Gospel that, if nothing else, the goodness represented in God's grace of giving us any knowledge, not just this knowledge, any knowledge. It's all God's good grace in our lives. So it should be pervading into everything. We ought not to go a day without recognizing aspects of the gospel in everything and being grateful. Lord, thank you that you've let me realize this or know this or understand this or share this, or I mean, it should just be in all parts. And so that's why I ended with it should be a pervasive priority attention.
I look at everything else, Pastor Matt, and it all has ends to it and limitations and so forth. But I remember when Paul was praying about the strength for the inner man, he says that you might know the length and the breadth and the depth and the height. And I think the feeling I get there is just like he steps out on the edge of maybe the Grand Canyon and goes, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to wrap this up, but I want to say the other day,
Yes.
I was talking to somebody who is adrift. And I said to them, why don't you come to Jesus?
Mm-hmm.
And he said to me, and I was so thankful for his kindness to think and give me a word. He said, I think I will lose my freedom.
Yeah.
Because, okay, he thinks that coming to Jesus is bringing him into restrictions. Because I think we preached, do this, do this, do this, do this, this. But you showed, and we won't get this in today's video, but what you were showing is the background to the end of Galatians about the things, the way we live, is this miracle gospel that enables us, it empowers us, it inflames us, it energizes us. I wake up every day with, how can I get what I know to the people in my life?
Yeah. I know you're trying to wrap up, but I have to throw something in there. That's the thing about the end of Galatians when it gets to the application. If you have do this, do this, do this, without the grace, it is restrictive.
You bet.
But if you have this understanding of what God has done, those things don't even look restrictive. They look liberating. You're free.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Right? You're free to do these things in the scope of who Christ is, right?
I became a Christian 60 years ago, this fall. And I am so grateful. And it's been, I wrote a paper on it called The Great Grace Adventure. And so anyway, God bless you. Thanks for watching. We went a little longer today, but nevertheless, I wanted you to hear from Pastor Matt, who just gave this message fresh yesterday, about the miracle of the gospel that really is at the heart of every ministry, and especially the ministry of prayer, witnessing. I think of those guys on the road to Emmaus dragging their feet, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
not knowing what was going on. Jesus, he opened to them the scriptures,
Yeah.
all the things pertaining to himself, right?
Yeah. Because it says their eyes were veiled, and what did he do? He unveiled the
Yeah,
apocalypse.
he apocalypsed them.
Yeah.
So what happened
Yeah.
to their heart? It burned.
Yes.
It burned within them. And so we're just saying, knowing who Jesus is and what he's done will give you, if you really see it in an apocalyptic, biblical, revelatory way, you'll have a burning heart.
Yeah.
You'll do well.
Yeah.
God bless you. Thanks for watching.
Amen.
Thanks, Pastor Matt.